Hey everybody, Akash Inti here checking in and going through some communication basics today. So we're starting off with the base layer that we could possibly ever start off on. And that's defining communication. When we define something, we get a good sense of what does it mean to me, what does it mean to you, and can we relate to this? So as you are watching some of these videos, you're going to get a good sense of what do I actually mean by communication. And then moving forward, you can apply this understanding, this definition, and everything else will build on top of this. So starting off with defining communication. Well, let's start off with why is it important? I mean, I think we kind of touched upon it just a little bit earlier, just now, maybe like 2.5 seconds ago. But to reiterate, in order for us to continue to get an understanding of what we mean, we talk about what is communication itself. Awesome. So from there, what is communication? Communication is, the way I define it is it's symbols. It is the expression of symbols from the internal world to the external world, such that the communicator is able to enact their will through the assistance of others. So it's kind of a little bit of a mouthful, and we'll probably trim it down a little bit. But you're probably thinking as though, why am I using the word symbols? Well, communication comes down to symbols at its very base and very core. It's at its core, it's about giving, distributing symbols, right? So there's different types of symbols. There's verbal ones, the ones that I'm speaking right now. You could also consider my tonality a verbal symbol. So that's a symbol itself, but then the words themselves are one. There are, so that's, I would say call these auditory. You've got visual symbols. So this could be the shirt that I'm wearing, the colors that I'm wearing, the glasses. It could be words that you read, things of this nature. These would be visual symbols, anything that you're able to really see. You have, so we've talked about auditory, we've talked about visual. You have tactile, so kinesthetic, these are touch, right? So there's a symbol by that. And I'll go into a brief little kind of jump into each of one of these in a little bit more detail as we continue forward. But it's really touching. You could touch someone on the shoulder, arms, legs, what have you. You have your sense of taste. I would call this, I guess, culinary. That's the best that I've got right now. The idea being that you're able to take in symbols as well through the way you taste things. So this could be anything like food. It could be your ability to really sense what's within a particular compound or mixture, if you will. And then lastly, we have our sense of smell, or I don't recall the name for this right now, but our sense of smell. And so what are these symbols? What are the symbols from the sense of smell? This could be cologne or perfume. It could be the aroma of a room. It could be the scent of rain on the floor. And so coming back, so we talked a little bit about what are the different types of symbols, the five, and the different categories and examples of them. Jumping back again as to why is this important? Well, communication enables you to understand what's your environment outside of you, so your external environment. And it's for you to align your internal environment, what's going on in your head, in your emotions, your sexual centers, with what's going on outside of you. So when you communicate, you use symbols to enact your will or communicate your will, to get the ideas that are going on inside of you across to the external world. So jumping again back into the 5 different types, and you could probably even say 6. I would say so. I would say psychic symbols. So it's something that you get, or something that's anything that's extrasensory, outside of the senses of the body itself. I would consider those symbols as well. Whether you're able to pick up on them or not, that's a separate story, but we'll call them psychic symbols. So again, going back, so we talked first about auditory. These are the things that you hear, right? So when would you want to use an auditory symbol? Well, great example is if you're driving in your car and you hear someone honk your horn because you're going to hit them. And so they honk their horn so that you stop. So it's important to be aware of these types of symbols, and there's levels to it, right? So it's not just the hardness or the loudness of a horn. It could also be the subtleness and the subtle frequencies that someone who's speaking with their voice, and if they're speaking in a tonality that's kind of going up, and they're asking questions like this, well, then you're able to tell that based on the auditory. You're also able to tell that a little bit based on other types of symbols themselves, but we primarily are able to hear it in the auditory. So understanding what you're saying itself, the words again, as we talked about, but also the frequencies are very, very key. Going to the visual symbols that we talked about second. So visual symbols refer to, again, this could be anything like color. This could be image, just overall for a person. If you walk into a store and let's say you want to go buy a new car, and you walk in and you got sweatpants on and you kind of look a little disheveled, you're going to get treated a little bit differently than the person who's walking in a nice like suit, if you will, collared shirt, whole 9 yards. It's just that the image that you're presenting, the visual image that one is seeing, is communicating something to the individual. So that's a symbol in and of itself. So becoming more aware, this could also be the type of work that you do. So if you do some work and you are very sharp with everything that you do, in other words, all of your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, just all around, all of the details of the work that you did is just very precise and accurate, someone will be able to tell this, and it conveys a lot of information about you as an individual, and this is what the external world will pick up from you. So we talked about auditory, we talked about visual, we talked about tactile a bit as well, touch. Well, what does this mean? Touch means so much in our language itself, right? This could be anything from giving your niece a hug to shaking a business partner's hand to kissing the person that you love. There's a lot that's communicated within that, right? So the closer you go in towards the body, the more intimate of a touch it is, versus the farther you go away from the body, the less intimate the touch is. So there is information communicated by that in the sense of, well, it communicates in some way, shape, or form. What's the level of the relationship between individuals? So becoming more aware of this. We've also talked about the sense of the taste, or the ability to taste things. So this sense is I most often refer to it in the sense of food, right? So you have how do you communicate through food, you might ask? Well, or why would this be important? Well, it could be something along the lines of you are trying to give a sense to the rest of the body, and in a very visceral way, or a very way that really shakes you to your core because you're tasting it. Though no matter the amount of words that you use or the sounds that you're able to create, there's nothing like the sense of taste. So it could be that you bite into a strawberry that's chocolate fondue strawberry, and you take a bite into it, and you feel the taste of the dark chocolate itself. And as you slowly bite into it, you're able to feel the berry crunch under your teeth, and then you slowly feel the little seeds within the strawberry itself. And so there's an experience to that, and that's an experience that can only be communicated by the mouth or by taste itself. Lastly, we have, or maybe not lastly, next we have our sense of smell, right? So sense of smell can communicate many things as to if an area or an environment is clean, is it dirty? In the sense of, does it smell like garbage? Is it a healthy area in that sense? It could also communicate in some senses survival, right? So if you smell a fire, you know that that's probably not an area you want to go to. But if you smell something along the lines of, I don't know, beautiful jasmine flowers, might be an area that you may want to hang out around. And so sense communicates a lot, as well as, I mean, we have pheromones as well. So this more in the masculine, feminine, or just in relationships in general, there's a sense of smell, and there's small, subtle things that are communicated there. If you smell someone and you're like, I don't know if I want to be around that person. Well, It could be because they either haven't showered or some such thing, but it also could be something in the sense of there's communication going on between yourself and the other person saying that there wouldn't be compatibility. And so scent is very important as well, as it makes and it composes, again, part of your larger persona. And there's subtle things that are communicated there. We can dive deep into each one of these areas in future videos themselves. But at a high level, these are the 5 different ways that we communicate. And again, remember that communication is really using symbols to harmonize the internal environment with the external environment, or the attempts to do so. This is why we communicate. The only reason why you communicate is that you want to have an experience outside of you that you're having within you, whether it be in your mind, within your emotions, or you want to be able to share this experience with someone. And so you share it by symbols, by communicating in these 5 different ways. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Keep letting me know, add some notes, comments, any questions you guys have. More than happy to jump into these on future videos. And keep up, thrive, stay sexy. I'll catch you guys next time.